morning and welcome back to my channel. I have had a little bit of a break. It's been a bit of a process to recover after the fires and try to get back to some kind of normal life, but I feel like I'm gradually getting there. And I thought, oh, that sun's really bright, I might go this way. I thought it might be a good time to do a bit of a tour of the garden. We're midsummer and I just wanted to show you how things are going. I'll have to say that the garden has been a little bit neglected, which is understandable considering the things we've had going on. At a minimum, I've been watering and from time to time doing a little bit of sort of pruning and weeding, but not as much as I probably need to do. So there's a fair bit that needs to be done. And I thought, you know what, I'm not going to hold off doing a garden tour. I'm going to show you the reality that sometimes life just happens and the garden gets neglected and you don't have the time to weed and maintain your plants. But you know what? They're all still surviving. They're still going. The priority was making sure I watered them because we haven't had any rain or very little rain, and it's been hot. So watering has been a priority. So I've just made sure I get out and water, and that's been pretty much the minimum. So I'm in the greenhouse, so I might start off in the greenhouse and show you what's growing and how things are going and what my thoughts are in terms of maybe some changes that I'm going to make for next year for the summer growing. So yeah, I'm gonna turn you around and let's have a look and see what's going on in the greenhouse. You can see it is a bit of a jungle there. All right, so here are my tomatoes, and as you can see, they're very unruly. I really need to prune these. They have just, yeah, they've got branches coming off everywhere. You can see here there's a branch, coming down into the capsicums there. This cherry tomato plant in the corner has got a bit of disease, and I think it's because there's not enough airflow in there. So I really need to maybe either pull it out, which is a possibility, to give the others a little bit more space. But I definitely think that next time I need a little bit less, particularly with these cherry tomatoes. They just seem to just go nuts in the greenhouse. You can see these others over here, which are, this is, I think from memory, I think this is a mortgage lifter. And I have pruned those and they're sort of looking a little bit better, but you can see over in the corner there that the cherry tomatoes are just wild. So anyway, things have been going well. I feel like the ripening of tomatoes has slowed down a little bit, and I don't know why. It has been warm. So you can see I've certainly got a lot of cherry tomatoes in there. And there's a few in there that you can see need picking. But this one here just doesn't have a lot of tomatoes on it at all. I can see a few in through there, but it's just been really, really slow. And maybe it's because I've packed too many in too closely. I don't know. There are plenty of flowers up the top here, so I'm hopeful that situation might change because they've got plenty of space up there. But yeah, I need to plant less. I need to stick with maybe one cherry tomato. This one here in the middle is a tomato. They're really nice. They've been delicious. So I might do sort of one of those, a cherry tomato, and then some of the larger varieties next time and not pack them in so much. In between here somewhere is actually a capsicum plant. that I put in. It is producing. You can maybe see that there. Just there. There's also somewhere in there is a basil, but they're all just a little bit too crowded. Needs a bit of work. And then over here I've got my capsicums, which I was picking capsicums really early this year. We've had a warm December, so the sun-loving, heat-loving plants have done really well in here. But again, you can see that there's too much crowding over here with the tomatoes getting a little bit wild. But one of the problems I've had some really good, these long capsicums, and I don't remember. I'll have to look up and put down below what they are. I don't actually remember. They're growing really well, and same with these ones here. They're like a long green. I'm assuming they might go red, but I've been picking them green and eating them green. They've been going really well. And then I have some of the these capsicums, which are more like a bell-shaped one. They have been really small. So you can see there's some here. And I've been getting, I'm assuming this is blossom end rot, which happens in tomatoes. And that can happen for a couple of reasons. It could be that the inconsistent watering, which I don't think is an issue because I have been watering consistently, or a lack of calcium. So I may need to add some lime or something like that to this garden bed, because all of these are just they're not doing well. I've picked all of these off. We'll see what happens to this one over here, but they've been small. Last year they were really nice and big, so there's clearly something not quite right with those, but the others are doing really well. Moving over to the raised bed. This is our circular raised bed. I've got cucumbers growing, and these are doing really, really well. I've been picking cucumbers nearly every couple of days. You can see there's one there, there's another one in there that won't be too far off. That one's probably ready to pick. So these are just a regular cucumber. They're doing really well and thriving in this raised bed. I've got some flowers that have self-seeded that are growing in between, but that won't be an issue. And then over in this second circular raised bed, I put in another type of cucumber, which are this is a sweet and striped cucumber that I grew last year, and it was the most delicious cucumber. Absolutely loved it, but it's just not doing very well. It's just, I don't know, it seems I don't know, not very healthy. You can see I've got a couple over here as well, and they're just looking, look at them, they just look like, I'm not sure what's happening. So I have one cucumber growing. Where did I see it? Here we go. This is one of them growing here. That's it, and they can grow up to 1 meter long. But that's the first cucumber. There seems to be something going on because they all look wilty, the leaves. And I don't know if something has happened down where the roots are. I'm not sure, but they're just not doing the best. This one in the middle's probably doing better. This one here, now that's looking nice and healthy. That's how it should look. But the others on the edges are not doing the best. I don't know if the sunflowers, you can see these beautiful sunflowers, whether that is making a difference, but I don't know. I've got some lovely zinnias growing in here. The bees are loving these sunflowers. Have a look at that. They're they're loving the sunflowers, and I've got more in other areas of the garden that are coming up. But yeah, I don't know, these cucumbers just not doing as well. Last year I grew them in here and they did really well. So I don't know if it's that position. As I'm looking now, there's more shade. Maybe the shade from the sunflowers. I don't know. I can't work it out. But anyway, every year things are different. You never know what's going to happen. And then over here, I've got rhubarb. So this rhubarb nearly died, and I put it into this raised bed and it's looking much better. It's still getting eaten a little bit, but it's looking heaps better. Also got a watermelon growing in here. I don't know. I feel like it's going to be a bit late because I've got some flowers coming up. But you can see there, but no fruit yet, and they do take a little while. I think these are a smaller variety, so we might be right. Just a self-seeded volunteer tomato that's growing there. So that's the three the three round beds beside the greenhouse. I just had to have a quick break because I just got stung by a bee again. This is the third time. I've not been stung my whole life, and in the last probably 6 months, that was my third sting. And the reason is because we haven't mowed, and there are a lot of weeds like dandelion weeds with the flowers, and the bees are all over them, and I've just walked through them, and one of them got into my boot and stung me, and that's the second time that has happened. So I'm going to show you what I have done, and I really need to be in the habit of wearing these to prevent that from happening again. So I've got these, I don't even know what these are called. They do have a name, but they protect your boots so you don't get anything going into your boots like grass and grass seeds and bees. So that's going to be my look from now on to prevent that from happening. So you can see we haven't mowed for a while, and there's a lot of these yellow, I think they're dandelion or whatever they are, and the bees are loving them, which means we're a little bit reluctant. I can see them buzzing around here. I'm a little bit reluctant to mow them because the poor bees are needing something to feed on. But I have to be careful of where I'm walking so I don't get stung. Right, so over here I've got my strawberries, and they're sort of doing all right, but not like they're growing well, and the one at the end there is starting to get some nice flowers on it. But this one here, I don't know if it's just because it's an old one, but I'm not really, or it's a pollination problem, I don't know, but I'm not really getting, so I'm getting these tiny little things like that, but nothing decent. I've got a couple of decent ones, but that's about all. But I have got some of the newer ones that I planted that are now flowering, so we'll see how they go. And then in this raised bed here, I've got flowers and a volunteer tomato, actually a couple of volunteer tomatoes. I did grow celery in here, and I don't think I'll bother with celery over the summer. I think I need to get the timing right there. Probably need to put it in possibly late summer, early autumn, because they really suffer from the heat and they wilt. So, and I think that affects how well they grow. I've also done some leek, and again, I think that not quite the right time in summer. I need to plant them a little bit later. So I'm going to make a note and not bother with those over summer and use this bed for other things. And then you can see I've been doing a little bit of weeding. I've also got this shade cloth on the ground. I also have it with my cucumbers, and I put it over the garden bed when it's really hot, just to give it a little bit of shade, because it week. It's been quite warm. Got another sunflower there, some lettuce that have gone to seed, but this bed's hasn't got too much happening. It's got a little bit of the herbs like the thyme, and some dill that's gone to seed, but not much happening here. And I'm just going to leave it. I'm going to top it up with some manure and so on and get ready for late summer, early autumn planting. So I think I'll just leave this bed and get it ready for the next season. Now I'm going to show you the reality of this garden bed. Have a look at it. It's a mess. I don't know how long it's been since I planned to pull all of these. These are all lettuce and they've all gone to seed and I've just left them. I will pull them out, but I think we'll end up with lettuce growing all over the place like I did last time. But moving over, just watching where I'm stepping, I've got, sorry if it's a little bit windy, I've got more tomatoes in this garden bed, but they really need some pruning. They're a little bit overgrown. And I also haven't had any ripe, actually, just when I said that, I can see one. I was just about to say I haven't had any ripe tomatoes out here yet, but there's one in there that's nearly ready. And this one is falling over and needs to be re-tied up to the stake. But they're all a bit unruly. They're all over the place. They need pruning. And possibly that's why they're not ripening so much. We've had enough warmth, so it shouldn't be an issue, but I don't know. And my zucchini, now, zucchini are normally really easy to grow, but I had lots of issues with germination this year. I kept sowing seeds and they weren't germinating. I finally got one to germinate and it was late in the season. And so it's really behind. By now I would be eating zucchinis every day, but I can see that there are some flowers about to open. So I will get some zucchini, but definitely not getting what I normally would get. I haven't had any homegrown zucchini this year yet. My beans have been a bit of a failure. They are overgrown with weeds. So these are bush beans. They're not very healthy. They're covered in weeds that really need attention. But they're also being eaten. All of my beans are being eaten. You can see here through the weeds. And I think it's grasshoppers. We've had these little grasshoppers and plenty of them. They've also been getting into my climbing beans, so you can see here that they're being eaten. It gets a little better as they kind of climb up the trellis, but even there you can still see they're being eaten. So they're just not doing all that well this year. I also need to extend this trellis because they need a whole lot more space to grow. So I need to get some more trellis to put on the top so they can grow higher. I did pick some the other day. And you can see there are some growing there, but I don't know, they're not doing the best either. And I do think that these little grasshoppers that seem to be everywhere are destroying them, unfortunately. I've got some more unruly tomato plants here as well. These are just some smaller ones that I planted a little bit later on, and then a whole heap of calendula that are all died off, and they're all just going to drop their seed, so I'll have plenty more calendula. And then this garden is my flower garden, and it hasn't actually done too badly. There's a lot of self-seeded calendula in there. The bees are loving it, so I'm really, really pleased, especially considering the fires. The bees will be struggling for feed, and I'm really pleased that they can come into my garden even if they sting me. But this is the borage, so they're having a good time in there. I've got some zinnia there. I don't know if you can see. I've also got these other insects. I don't know if you can see that. See them in there. They've been very prevalent, and I'm not sure what they are. I don't think they're harmful, but who knows? Someone can tell me. But certainly the bees are loving the borage. And then I've got plenty of calendula just self-seeded and growing through there. These are beautiful. I'm actually really, really liking these. I can't remember what they're called. Again, I'm going to have to find. There were just some seeds that were given to me, and I thought they were too old. I had some flower seeds, and I sowed them, and yeah, these have done really well. They're beautiful flowers, and they seem to attract the bees and the bugs, and they also seem to handle the heat fairly well, which is really good. I've got some chamomile. I think next time I need to grow a whole lot more chamomile. I didn't grow enough plants, and I'd like to put a lot of chamomile plants in next year, so I'll make a note of that. Got some beautiful sunflowers. Now have a look at this one. It's just about to open, so it's really, really close, and then the one next to it is getting ready to open as well. So the sunflowers have been great, and I think again I'm going to grow more sunflowers next year. So note to self, grow more sunflowers, grow more chamomile as well. And yeah, so the flower garden's not doing too badly. It's certainly keeping the bees happy, and yeah, I'm happy with how that has turned out. But I think next year I'll grow more and plant it a little bit more densely, and pull out some of the calendula that's self-seeding. Now I want to show you something a bit sad. I'm not sure on the channel if I have shown this before, but I have a raspberry patch and a berry patch, and I was picking plenty of berries. They're like a blackberry. I can't remember what they were called. Got plenty of those. I've actually got some in the freezer, and then I was hoping for some raspberries, but I'm going to show you what my raspberries look like and then explain to you what has happened. So these are my raspberries. So they have no leaves on them, none at all. And I'm going to show you why. Come over here, and this is the evidence. So if you're not up with what droppings they are, they're from deer. So because the deer normally live up in the bushland up there and it's all been burnt, they have nothing to eat and nowhere to go. So they have been coming into our backyard, and they have eaten all of the leaves off my raspberries. There's plenty of poo. I don't know if you can see that, but it's everywhere. So it's very, very telltale. And in fact, I have seen them. I got home late one night last week, and I saw them in our backyard. And now they've gone onto my other berry plant. They have stripped it and eaten all of the leaves. So they're just all skeletons. There's no leaves on them. I don't know what effect that's going to have in terms of next year's crop, but that has been a big issue, but there's not a lot we can do about it, unfortunately. The deer don't regularly come into our backyard, But since they've, been burnt out and don't have any feed, they are coming in. The other thing that the deer have been getting into are our fruit trees, which is really sad. This here is a new fruit tree that we planted. That's an apple tree, and they stripped it nearly. They took all the leaves off. We've still got some leaves and there's a little bit of new growth there. But we've just put some extra wire around it. And again, here's your evidence that they've been here. So we've put some extra wire around to stop them from getting into that. And same with over here. This is another of our new trees. It's also an apple tree. And we've just put some higher, we had some wire, you can see down there. That was mostly for the dogs to stop them from running into it. This one's coming back quite good. It's got some good new growth. It's being eaten by something, but I think that's actually bugs of some sort. And then we've put this big wire up over the top to stop the deer from getting in. We haven't normally had to worry about that. Like I said, deer don't generally, they're around, but they don't tend to come into our backyard. But now we have to put some new measures in to stop them eating our fruit trees. And I can see that they've also had a go at this. This is a nashi tree, so they've kind of eaten those lower leaves, although there is some new growth. And again, I can see some droppings nearby, and also this pear tree has been stripped as well. So I'm wondering if I took the netting down because there weren't really much fruit on these, so I didn't sort of bother. I took the netting off, but I'm thinking maybe I may need to just temporarily put the netting back over the hoops to stop the deer from eating the leaves. You can see here, this is an apple tree that's doing really well, and it's got I don't know if you can see through there, but it's got apples growing, and they haven't been able to get into that because we've kept the netting on it. So I think maybe we might need to just throw the netting back on to these trees here to stop them from being eaten. So if you live in an area where your fruit trees get eaten by things like deer, what do you do to protect them? Because we haven't normally had this issue and we haven't had to worry about it. We normally worry about the birds getting the fruit, but not so much anything eating the leaves. So let me know what you do and what solutions there are, because I expect that this is going to be an issue for a little while, because obviously when we go into winter, the leaves will all drop off and it won't be an issue, but the bushland is going to take a little while to grow back. So I think that animals like deer are going to be encroaching into our backyard a little bit more often for a little while, until they're, till the bushland has regenerated. So we're going to have to come up with some new ideas, because this isn't something that we normally face. We normally have issues with other things. There have been kangaroos coming in too, but I don't think that the kangaroos are eating the leaves. I know that they can, but they seem to be coming in and just eating green grass. So we've got a few patches of green grass. And for what I can tell, they seem to be coming in more for the grass rather than for eating my plants. And at the height that some of the trees are being eaten, it's definitely deer and not kangaroos. So anyway, I hope they don't find a way into my veggie garden. I mean, we've got a nice fence around it. I know they can jump fences, but it has got a wooden top. I hope that deters them, because if they discover how to get into my veggie garden, who knows what might happen. But for now, they're really just kind of focusing on our trees and my berry patch. Anyway, I'm going to end the video there. Just a quick tour, just a bit of an update on how things are going. And yeah, garden's it's been neglected a bit, but I just wanted to show you that, you know, that they still grow so long as you still give them some water. You know, maybe they could be growing better with a bit more TLC, but it's not the end of the world. And yeah, I'll let you know how things are going as we progress through the rest of summer. It's been a very warm summer. Yeah, it's today's a little cooler, although it's going to start warming up again. We had a cool day yesterday, which was really nice to just have a good night's sleep and to have the house cool down. But yeah, it's been consistently fairly hot this summer, and very dry. But you know, that's the climate we live in, and that's what we have to try to work around. But pretty happy with my garden at this stage, and yeah, we'll see how things progress, and then I've got to start thinking about what I'm going to grow for after summer, so for autumn and into winter. So I will do a video soon about that once I start planning and getting ready to start sowing. It's a little early yet because I think it's just too hot still. We've got February to get through. Still just too hot to be sowing seeds in the greenhouse. I just think they'll just dry out. So I'm going to give it a little bit more time, but maybe start planning and having a thought about what I want to grow. All right, that's it from me. I'm going to leave it there. And if you are interested in more updates and wanting to know what's happening here on our homestead and in the garden and in the kitchen, I haven't been in the kitchen for a little while. I mean, I have, but nothing special to film. Yeah, just hit the subscribe button so that you actually get notifications of when I post a new video. But thank you so much for watching, and I will talk to you all next time.